Hello and welcome to the Lorna Marie Fitness Podcast, the show where we talk all things fitness, health, mindset and lifestyle to help you become fitter, healthier and happier. I help busy people who lack time, motivation and self-belief to look and feel great again. If you want to work with me, head over to lornamariefitness.co.uk, but for now, enjoy this episode. Aloha! Testing, just checking this sounds okay. Hopefully it's coming through the microphone this time like it should be. Hi everybody, how are you doing? And did you listen to the workshop from yesterday? If you haven't already listened to the workshop, I would highly recommend you listen to the workshop because it's golden. Whether you are looking to lose weight and keep it off or whether you have a different goal in mind, a lot of it is really about the necessary mindset for making change and being able to maintain that change in habit as well. So I would 100% get onto that. Now, let's get on to, before I start the Q&A, 2 notices. Okay, obviously you know about all the announcements that came about this weekend. The ones that I'd really like you to take note of right now is this Sunday, we are opening tickets for the 5-year squad party and we're going all out. We're going absolutely all out. Invite your family, invite your friends, any past squaddies, all welcome. We are going all out. It's black tie, 2-course dinner, entertainment, drinks reception. Gosh, it's going to be so good and so big. Just celebrating everything we do at our squad and our amazing fitness family. That's what we're going to be doing. We've got 100 tickets. So be on the buzzer. Be ready because everyone is invited. So that is this Sunday. Stay tuned this Sunday, okay? The second thing is, now a lot of you have been talking about the desk workouts, which is amazing. And I'm so glad you're enjoying them. Desk workouts and getting your colleagues to do them at work. That is something I never really thought about, but what a great idea. Get everybody moving in the workplace. Fantastic idea. So if anybody, and on that note, if anyone does want to bring the squad to your workplace, we work with lots of different businesses of all sizes to get people moving more in the workplace because a healthier workforce is not only a more productive one, but a happier one. And I think in this day and age, like Fruit Friday or free parking as a perk just does not cut the mustard. But being able to show your staff that you really actually truly care about them and you want to invest in their health and well-being beyond the place of work, I really think that's where it's at. And there's so many things that we can do. We can basically, with it being me, Will and Laura, we can tailor it to whatever you want essentially. So if you think that your work might be interested or you're interested, please get in touch and we can just have a little chat and see what we can do, or if there is anything we can do. Now, let's go on with the questions. Now, I'm just going to double check that I am actually live and I'm not just talking to myself right now. As much as I love to talk to myself. No, I don't. Okay, cool, I am. All right. Now, you're a little bit far away because you're on a stand right now. Let me just bring you in a little bit. If you're listening to this on the podcast, it's going to sound really weird, but I'm just trying to multitask. Okay, the dog's not there. There we go. We're in the room now because you're here and I've got my laptop here with all the questions on. And that way I can also see your comments come up. Right, question number 1. I feel like I've got control of my exercise and definitely one of my wins is sticking to my weekly exercise plan. I need to work on my diet. I'm not particularly trying to lose weight and for the most part I eat relatively healthily, but I'm an emotional eater and drinker and I would like to be more in control of that. Okay, this is a really common phenomenon. So you're not on your own here. And this is just a little bit kind of online with yesterday actually, if you tell yourself that you are an emotional eater, because I notice the way that this has been written, it's like an identity, I am an emotional eater, then you will be because you've already told yourself. So that's the first little thing I just wanted to point out here. And if you haven't already listened to the workshop from yesterday, it's the how to lose weight and keep it off one. Like whether you are trying to lose weight or not, it's about the mindset and the mindset change, I would just listen to it, listening out for that part, because I think it's really, really insightful. Now, if you were telling yourself you're an emotional eater, then you are going to be. But if you struggle with emotional eating at the moment, like, what can you do? Because obviously it's not very useful me just saying that. There's some deeper work that needs to go into the mix here, like with you and your identity and becoming a new identity. So, for example, telling yourself that this is how you used to respond. You would feel really emotional and then turn to food and drink. That's what you used to do. But now what you're going to do is X, Y, Z, and have like a bit of an exit plan. Now what I'm going to do is just hold someone in a hug for 20 or 30 seconds because that's just what I need to break out of this. Or I'm going to do some box breath, or I'm going to go get a shower, or go on a walk, or make myself a cup of tea because I just need some kind of comfort right now, and something that isn't going to be delving into the wine or emotionally eating and then feeling even worse. Because what you have to do is think about what your body actually needs in that moment. Like, if you emotionally eat or you emotionally drink, once you've done that, like, it might give you a little bit of temporary comfort, but once you've done that, how are you going to feel? And chances are 9 times out of 10 we'll probably actually feel even worse, and then we'll just feel really uncomfortable and really annoyed and really upset about that. So it's kind of like stacking emotion on top of emotion. So this is where we need to put a pause in, and whatever you need to do to almost snap you out of it. I've heard some people wear like elastic bands. You see me wearing a hair bubble, by the way. That's nothing to do with that. I just always have a hair bubble because I always need to tie my hair up. But some people genuinely wear like little elastic bands and just do a little snap. I'm not telling you to self-harm, but just to break them out of it. You know, if they feel like they need to break out of it, think. Some people just count to 5 and that works for them. And some people just need to remove themselves from the situation. I would encourage you just to put a pause in there. Think about what you actually need. And if you're somebody who struggles with food in general, you know, are you hungry right now? If you are, great. Go and get something really nourishing. Are you feeling emotional right now? Okay, what do you need? What do you actually need? Do you need a hug? Do you need a walk? Do you need a bath? Do you need to just breathe for a moment? And there's some breathwork techniques on the desk workout area, actually, which is what we were talking about at the start. Think about what you need. Or other things can be, are you bored, or is it just like a habit now? And going back to what I said at the beginning about creating a new identity for yourself. Be the person who says, okay, what I used to do is I used to respond, I used to feel emotional, I used to respond by grabbing the chocolate or grabbing the wine. But I don't do that anymore because I don't want to be that person anymore who responds in that way, because it always actually made me feel worse and it never actually got me out of the situation. And I felt like I was in a spiral. So you need to really be justifying this to yourself and reminding yourself, well, not even justifying, like reminding yourself why you're doing it. So that's what I would say on that one. And I hope that's helpful. One good thing to do would be like journaling for that. But in the moment, just get the pause in there, stop and put yourself back in control, because you are in control and you've got the power to choose what you do in that moment. Think about what you actually need in that moment. And it's not going to be an overnight fix. That's going to be something that you need to keep practicing, and the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. Okay, number 2, in the evening, I struggle with making good choices. My husband does the cooking and then we snack together after dinner. Quite often it involves wine and chocolate most nights. Do you have any tips or advice? Okay, so this one's a little bit different to the first one. So the first one was all about emotionally eating and drinking. This one's more, to me, it sounds like it's become a habit. It's just become a habit that you and your husband do. So for the first part, if your husband is doing the cooking and his goals might not be aligned with yours. Like, you might be on a journey to improve your health, maybe you're on a journey to lose weight, maybe you want to cut down on these things and not do this every night. Maybe it's just something that you want to reserve for a couple of nights a week or something. And his goals don't have to align. Not everyone wants the same thing. When you're living with someone who isn't on the same journey as you, yes, it's going to be harder. But that's why we have groups like this and like the squad, because we're all there to support each other and to be the healthiest versions of ourselves. So if you can't rely on your other half to want to be on this journey, he doesn't have to be, but you want to be on this journey for you, and you want to do this for you. One thing you can do is, I don't know, it depends really on how set your partner is, but you can just have the chat, like, you know, I really want to do this because of this, and I'd love you to support me and do it with me. And you can have that chat and see if your partner will get on board. And if your partner won't get on board or they don't want to do it, then you just need to remember that you're the only person who has the power to put that food into your mouth or put that drink into your body. Like, you're doing that, nobody else. So you can't put the blame on anyone else, if you get me. Like, you have to fully own your choices. You're in power. You're in power of your decisions and what you put into your body. So you have to remind yourself of that. And if it has become a habit, if your husband is opening to making better choices and doing something together, then maybe you choose to go on a walk after dinner or something. It's about stopping that habitual, right, this is what we do, and then we do that, and then we do that. You have to break the chain of events to break a habit. So it might be straight after dinner, you go on a little walk, or you do something else. You don't sit in front of the TV. You don't sit in front of the TV and watch that thing. Or if you do, you swap your seat, like you sit somewhere else. And sometimes just doing that and breaking that habit, and it sounds so simple, but just doing that little thing to break your habit can make you actually think, this is like a different neural pathway that I actually have to think about what I'm doing right now. And then you've got the decision whether you do that or not. And if you want to be the person who sits in front of the TV and enjoys the TV program without having to drink the wine or eat the chocolate, or you want to be the person who doesn't do that anymore, and you want to be the person that goes on a nice evening stroll in the summer, or does a yoga workout, or you just go and have a bath, or you read a book, or whatever you want to do, then if you want to be that person, start acting like them, and you'll get there. But just remember that you've got the power to choose here. So it's time to break that habit and do something a little bit different. Now, I just heard a notification. I'm not sure if that was... Oh, okay. Loretto, have you announced where it is yet? It was just a notification. A notification on the 5-year party. No, I haven't. Got to wait till Sunday. It's coming on Sunday, just wait. It'll be in Nottingham though. But I'm not telling you where yet. Why is full fat better than no fat? I always thought low fat was a better alternative. Aha! Diet culture. No, it depends. It really depends. Generally speaking, when you go for the full fat option, normally it's the option that is the most organic. It hasn't been processed or gone through lots of different processes to basically take the fat out. And quite often, a lot of the flavour is in the fat, A lot of the flavour is in the fat. So when you go for low fat, and I'm thinking yogurts here, when you go for low fat yogurts, what they've done instead is they've pumped it with loads of different sweeteners. They've pumped it with emulsifiers. They've pumped it with all sorts, bulking agents, whatever. I don't know what they put in. Basically, they're just a load of artificial rubbish goes into your yogurt, as opposed to a real nice, non-processed, organic type yogurt that, yeah, okay, it's higher in fat, but it's going to be a heck of a lot better for you because it hasn't had all these things added to it. Not only that, when you go for higher fat options, they tend to keep you fuller for longer. So that's generally why, the higher fat can be a better alternative. Also, there's your fat-soluble vitamins, minerals. So you've got vitamin A, D, E, K. You need fat to be able to absorb these into your body. And your fat cells are really important for your hormones and for your skin and for so many different things. So fat does not make you fat. Eating in a calorie surplus, i.e. having more than you need, makes us overweight, or it makes us, not necessarily overweight, it makes you put weight on being in a calorie surplus. You can absolutely have a normal yogurt, a non-low fat yogurt, and be in a calorie deficit or maintain, or even be in a surplus. It depends, doesn't it? But it really just depends on your goals as well. Like, if you like the no fat version, go for it. Quite often they're lower in calories, but just bear in mind that also quite often they've had stuff added to them. So it depends, doesn't it? It depends on your goals, really. But that is generally why the majority of the time going for the full fat version is better. Okay, let's go on to the next question. All the questions have moved around. Okay. I have fat around my belly. How can I spot reduce that? You can't. You can't. You can't spot reduce anything. You can't choose where you want to lose weight. What you can do, and this is how, if you wanted to say like improve your belly tone, this is what you can do. It's going to come from an overall body fat reduction. And one thing I want to say here as well, because I don't always like using the word, like fat reduction and fat this and fat that. It's just a way of like expressing. I think a lot of people get really hung up on what fat actually is and use it as an identity, like, oh, I am fat, rather than I have a bit of extra energy. Because that's all it is. That's all it is. Your body stores energy in different ways in your body. And your body breaks it down, and we use it for, well, for example, let's use the carbohydrates as an example. You break carbohydrates down into glucose and you use that for energy as fuel. Fat as well, it can be used for energy. And it can also be stored, and it's also used for your fat-soluble vitamins. It's also used in your skin cells and your cells in your body and your hormones, cell membrane. Like it's needed for so many different things. But you cannot choose where you lose it from first in your body. That's going to go from your genetics. So what you can do is reduce your overall body fat, and it will eventually come off that area. What you can do in the meantime is you could do lots of core exercises to make sure your muscles in that area are very strong. And then when you do reduce your overall body fat, and maybe it could even be the last place to come off, who knows, it might not be. But then when it comes off overall, then you'll have the muscles, you'll have the muscle tone there. And anyway, everyone should be trying to get a stronger core because it's so important. If you think about your core as, it's like your powerhouse, and it basically keeps us up, doesn't it? Your core, your trunk, it keeps us up. So if we've got a strong core, then we get a stronger upper part of the body, stronger lower part of the body, and we are strong, we're standing up tall. So doing core stuff anyway isn't going to harm, but you can't fat spot reduce, and that goes for anywhere. You know, when you see like, the problem with a lot of things like Facebook now and ads or TikTok, it's very clickbaity. It'll be like, oh, reduce 5 inches off your upper arm, or get rid of the, I don't know, get the thigh gap. Ugh, I hate stuff like that. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. And it's just a load of garbage, really. What you want to do is make sure that you're eating healthily and that you are exercising. And if we're overweight, then we lose some weight. If we're underweight, we put some weight on. If we're a healthy weight, we maintain our weight. Think about what you need and what you need to for your body. Anyway, a slight tangent, wasn't it? But that's what you need to do. Another thing, if you feel like you're carrying a lot of weight around your tummy, make sure that you're eating foods that don't massively bloat you, or you could be keeping a bit of a diary and track the foods that do bloat you. Make sure you're keeping your stress levels down. So increased levels of stress is linked to increased levels of cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And that has also been linked to carrying more weight around the tummy area. Notice I say has been linked. Yep, it depends on what you read, really. But just keep your stress levels to a minimum. Make sure you're in overall calorie deficit. Work your core. Track the foods that make you feel bloated. And make sure you get enough sleep and rest. Okay, that's the best advice for that. Is it better to use a barbell or hand weights for bone density? Oh, actually, just going back to the previous question. You know, belly weight around the tummy. It can be quite tricky when you enter the perimenopause and then postmenopause as well. So menopause is actually just one day in time, or like one exact moment in time, exactly 12 months since your last period. That is the menopause. Anything before that, you know, you're getting the symptoms, that's perimenopause. It can last for years. Anything after that is postmenopause. So this perimenopausal, postmenopausal sort of area, can be where you find that is where our body, due to a drop in estrogen, prefers to store our fat or our extra energy, if you like. But there are things that you can do about it. And we are going to be talking about that in the menopause course. So if this is like an area that you feel really conscious about and you're really struggling with, just come and hop on that course. Come and join us, 14 days. Ask me for the link. I can, even if you put it in the comments here, I can just comment back with the link and come and join us. But we can talk all about that kind of thing as well. But essentially, if you are finding yourself in, perimenopause, postmenopause, make sure you continue with your strength training. That's really important. And we're going to talk loads more about it. I don't want to go off on a bit of a tangent unless you want me to here. I'm going to try and stay with the questions, but that is going to be an area that we're going to be covering. Is it better to use a barbell or hand weights for bone density? Do you know what? There's pros and cons to both of them. I am, for the sake of this question and for the sake of what we do at the squad, I'm definitely going to go with the barbell, because when you use a barbell, generally you can load it quite a lot heavier than you can with hand weights and in a safer manner. When you're using a barbell, everything is pretty in sync. You're lifting the barbell at the same height, your hands are going at the same time. It's a lot easier to control, and it's also a lot easier to put more weight onto the barbell. And therefore, you're going to create more stimulus on the muscle. You're going to be working, you're going to be basically improving your bone density more and better, more efficiently than if you're using hand weights. And generally, hand weights are a bit lighter. Sometimes if we go a bit too heavy, that's when you start to see your asymmetries when you're lifting weights. It is when injuries are more likely to happen. And generally we find that we can't lift as heavy. I don't know about you, but if I was holding, say if I was holding a weight plate and doing squats, I could probably hold a 10 kilogram on my collarbones and do some squats with a 10 kilogram. Feel it a lot in my legs and glutes, yeah, definitely. But I feel like my form would probably start to go after a while, because then I'm going to get fatigued. I'm not going to be holding myself properly because I'm trying to hold a really heavy weight here, or maybe it's a heavy hand weight. Whereas when it's on the soft part of my back, I can load that up. Like, I'm just trying to think about what I use. So I'd have a 10, 20, and then 25. I'd have 25, no problem. That would be fine. What's going to give me better results? Do you see what I mean here? And then I'd probably find that I'd finish that track feeling like I'm still in a good position, my core's still strong, whereas if I'm trying to hold a 10 kilo weight just here, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to struggle by the end, and my form is probably going to be pretty out. That's just one example, but one of the main things is like doing shoulder work and stuff. Sometimes it can be really good to use hand weights for unilateral work, using, one side of the body. I'm just thinking like some rows here. Or bicep curls sometimes. Sometimes it can help with that, like the angles, depending on what we're doing. Like if we're going to be doing a side raise, obviously, we're going to be using hand weights. But generally speaking, if bone density is your aim, I would be getting a barbell and I'd be loading it up with good form, of course. Okay, that's the questions on that page, because I put another post out, was it yesterday, just collecting a few more questions. So I'm just going to go on that one because it was just some supplement ones. Here we go. Oh no, it was actually this morning. I don't even know what day it is anymore. How is it only Tuesday? I've done like a whole 2 weeks work in 2 days. All right. When is the best time to have protein powder? Before a workout or after a workout or during a workout? And does it stay in your body to help your muscles throughout the day? Okay, great question. The actual answer is it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. There used to be, like bro science days, there used to be this notion or belief that you needed to have your protein within 30 to 2 hours after a workout. They thought that that was the anabolic window, as in the window when you needed to take that protein powder in, otherwise it wouldn't be effective and da da da. Yeah, they found out that that's not actually the case. And what's more important is your protein intake over the day overall. And if you really want to know how long that window is, current research says it can be up to like about 6 hours. So as long as you're getting, a decent meal in, like 4 hours or whatever, then you're going to be absolutely fine. If you want to be on the safe side, have it within a couple of hours of your workout, but I wouldn't really overthink it. I would just be thinking about getting your protein in over the day, throughout the day. So if you're having like protein powder, generally speaking, it's normally about 20 grams of protein in a protein, like a serving of protein powder. If you wanted to have that before your workout, just bear in mind that you don't want to be having it straight before, because obviously it might feel really uncomfortable if you're trying to work out and then your body's trying to digest protein powder. If you've had like, say, a meal with protein in, or you've had protein powder like maybe an hour or something before, it has been shown that that is beneficial for your body, because you've already got the like available amino acids in your body. But again, protein window is a lot bigger than they used to think. It's a lot longer than they used to think. And then really post-workout, you want to be making sure that you've got a decent meal in there. Always food first over protein powder. Food before anything. You want to be making sure that you're having, a decent meal within 3-4 hours of your workout. And that's a balanced one. So protein, carbohydrates, fats. So if you have that protein powder, it depends on the person, doesn't it? It depends on how you metabolize things. But say if you had protein powder at 6 a.m., it's not going to be helping your muscles at 8 p.m. at night anymore, So it's just really important to be thinking about your protein intake throughout the day, and be thinking about trying to, at each meal, get at least like 20 grams of protein, and then you can really trickle it throughout your day, and that will really help your muscles. Okay, 2 more questions, gang. I have slight back problems and a hollowed back. When I lift my legs in the air above my hips, my back arches slightly, and if I bring them over more, so not exactly over my hips, it helps my back. Is this bad, and does it mean the exercise doesn't work as well? It feels like it works. Lowering the legs makes the back issue worse in these exercises where the legs are straight, for example, the 100s. I can't make the 5 p.m. Q&A, but I'll listen to it on catch up. Okay, cool, no worries. So hollow back is, generally speaking, I think what you're talking about here is hyperlordosis, which is where you have a real big C shape in the lower part of the back. That is lordosis. So it's kind of, you've got an anterior tilt in the pelvis. So the pelvis is like, think about your hip bones like pointing down towards the floor, which is creating like a tilt like that. It can be a genetic thing. It can be quite often caused by, say if you're somebody who wears high heels and stands in high heels, so you're putting your back into that position, it can be caused by quite a lot of different things, or posture. And the opposite is kyphosis, where you've got that rounding here. It depends. It really depends on the person and like you mechanically, to be honest. Generally, we don't want to exaggerate this kind of posture, generally, because it can cause problems, and it can cause problems later down the line. So if you've noticed that you have hyperlordosis, and you find that when you've got your legs in the air, like directly above the hips, that your back is extremely arched, it might be a case that you're not fully engaging with your deep core muscles. So yes, it's a little bit of how your body is right now biomechanically, but it could also be indicating that you're not fully engaging your deep core muscles, your transverse abdominis. That is your corset that goes around your body. So think of your body like a Coke can or something. That's your transverse abdominis, the corset. They're the muscles that you really, really want to engage. So it might be a case of, for a while, you just really, really focus on doing those kind of moves. And if anything does hurt or it doesn't feel right, please do feel free to modify. So if your legs are straight in the 100s, maybe bending them, maybe if that makes it feel better, but you can still feel your core working. And it depends on what type, like where can you feel your core working as well, whereabouts. So it depends. You don't want to do anything that really, really causes you pain. At the same time, you don't want to be exaggerating this type of posture, because you don't want it to cause you any problems. And you want to be making sure that you're engaging your deep core muscles. So things that you can do are pelvic tilts, so focusing on generally hyperlordosis is where you have an anterior pelvic tilt. So can you see here, if you're listening on the podcast, I've got my fingers on the front of my hips and I've got my thumbs on the back and I'm just tilting forwards. You see all of a sudden, woo, my bum like comes in the air. Sorry, I don't know why I did that sound effect. And what it can be caused by here is really tight hips and a weak back. Okay, so I would be, one, trying to engage my deep core muscles, and two, I'd be thinking about loosening off my hips and improving the strength in the back. So you go to on-demand, type back in, do that, go into on-demand, type hips in, and be incorporating this. Maybe even taking some photographic evidence. You know, if you put this into your week and do it regularly, so you can see, and you can see the difference it's making in your body. Okay, is there anything you do to stop tummy doming when doing sit-up type exercises? Okay, so generally this is caused by, and because I've spoken to this particular squaddy today, it can be caused by, now I hope I pronounce this right, diastasis recti, I think I have. And it's the separation of your abdominal muscles, so separation of your six-pack. So your six-pack muscles, they are basically connected with it's like some tissue in between, the linea alba, if I remember correctly from my pre and postnatal training. And it's like a weakening of that tissue. So you get this abdominal separation. And this is a thing that can cause the doming, or it's also known as coning, when you're doing your exercise, your ab exercises. And it basically means that you're not engaging your deep core muscles. And the things that you want to be focusing on are engaging your deep core muscles. And actually doing things like sit-ups can make it worse temporarily. So I would be avoiding doing things like that temporarily until we really, really start to engage the deep core muscles and start to really bring these muscles back together and strengthen your abs. So the deep core muscles, they're going to be things like doing bird dogs. They're going to be things like the plank. They're going to be, say, your knee drops, toe taps, bridges, all of those types of exercises. And I also asked this particular squaddy, you know, how long has it been? How long has this been going on? And when did you first notice it? And we kind of came to the conclusion that it was probably post-childbirth, and it has just been an area that has never properly been corrected. But what I said was, it's fantastic that you've noticed this now, and now we can do something about it. So it's really, really great. So if you go into On Demand and you type in transverse, there was some core workouts that work the transverse abdominis, but I've just told you some exercise to do there. Again, you could put that into your diary to do those like on a regular, it needs to be consistent. So you need to put it into your day when you're actually going to do it, so you'll see the difference. Or come to Pilates, and if we do anything like sit-ups, then you can just switch to one of those while we're doing the sit-ups, for example. But you need to be doing it at least twice a week, minimum. Yeah, so doing those types of things, and also making sure that you're exhaling on the effort, you know, you're using your Pilates breath here, your lateral breathing, and making sure that you're not holding your breath when you're doing these exercises. And then let's see where we are. And another thing that we mentioned as well is using the pelvic floor muscles. So think about engaging your core entirely. And if you want a little bit more on this, if you go to, and whether it's relevant right now or not, but if you do find that you do suffer with this, if you go to the pre and postnatal area, there's a section on there like postnatal about this, and that might be really useful. You know, whether you had kids like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, it's still useful. So that's probably what that is there. But obviously, if there's any concern or it is causing you problems, please do go and see a medical professional. But that is what I would say, based within my expertise and what I can say. Anyway, I hope this has been really useful, team. Please do let me know. And I will see you bright and early tomorrow at 6:30 or 9:30, or I'll see you on the live replay. And don't forget, Sunday, pop it in your diary. The tickets for the Big Squad Do are coming out. And Secondly, if you do think that your workplace would be interested in doing some lawn fitness, and hey, have your workplace pay for you, let me know. There's loads that we can do. Like I said, the desk workouts has really sparked this off, and everyone doing it at work. But yeah, you can have some desk workouts at work. Anyway, let me know if you have got if you've got any ideas. Message me, and we can see what we can do. Anyway, take care everyone, and have a lovely rest of your evening.